Do it.
Okay, hold on. I need to. Oh, we are. Okay.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law. Love under will.
Welcome to Sekhet-Maat Oasis Qabalah's class 101. I'm Father Audeo, and this is Sor Luz-y. And we just want to welcome you, and we are glad you're here. Little disclaimer first. Your mileage may vary. I may say something that is not the way you say it. I may explain something the way that you may not understand it, or that you see it differently, and that is okay. That's just the way it is. And the other thing is that we are an open or initiating body here in the Valley of Portland. We have a space that we cannot use, so we still are paying rent on that. We still are paying for many things that the money's going out and not a lot of money's coming in. So if you're not a dues paying member, if you could do a donation of $5 to $10, that would be awesome. But again, this is a free class, but the donation is appreciated and welcomed. So if it is your will to donate, that would be awesome. And yeah, again, welcome. Today we are going, let's see. Oh, there we go. All right. We are doing the 30th path of the on the Tree of Life today. The 30th path connects Hod and Yesod on the Tree of Life. Hod being representative of our intellect, and Yesod is representative of our subconscious, our astral nature, our automatic consciousness, and or our self-consciousness. It's called the collecting intelligence or the collective intelligence in some books. General consciousness is Sekhet-Maat or Sekhet-Maat. It is called this because it means through which the generalizations of heavens collect their dues regarding the stars and constellations, forming the theory that comprises their knowledge, the Ophan or the wheels of the spheres. And that it's, you know, it's old 1500s, from the time of around 1500s is where the Sefer Yetzirah was known to be written. They say it was oral long before that, but that's when it actually was hit in paper. So the wording is sometimes convoluted, and it might make sense to some, but for me it is a little bit, sometimes it takes some meditation to get on with that. And for me personally, I think what they're getting at is they were talking about the relationship to the sun and the stars, basically astrology, and learning to watch those, with an aware mind, where we are paying attention. Therefore, like the Hod, the intellect, being able to understand the bodies and how they move, and thus watching the or learning the effect they have on us, and being able to relate that to a time or certain celestial objects in the sky. And that's my take for that one. I'm not certain if that is correct, but that's what I got once I was meditating on it for a while and trying to understand what that one line and sentence meant. So the 30th path of Resh, its tarot card is the Sun. Resh, the twins shining forth in plain, the fighting of Set and Osiris. In the Sun is the secret of the spirit. You know, this card is said it was one of the simplest and easiest to understand, Crowley wrote. Whenever he says something simple, I always like, I don't know, but you know, there's a Heru Raha is represented in this card just as Heru Raha was represented in the last key. It's represented in a different form. It is representative of the sun. It's not necessarily the two twins that are in there. It could be, but I think it's the development still of that consciousness within us. The two, the sun being dual in nature. There's supposed to be a sun, a black sun that is in a constant battle with our sun. It's all about the duality still within this card. Even though it is the first stage of development in our new nature, it's the rebirth. Those are the two children, or the aspects that have been reborn after the teardown of that's represented in the tower key, and then later transmuted into this reborn, this new evolution of our ingenium of ourself. Resh itself means top of the head or countenance, and the countenance being the face, what we provide to the world as what we present is a better way to put that. The letter itself it demonstrates what a level of enlightenment. It kind of represents your long leg, and then it coming up to the top of your head and pointing. It indicates that the energy has risen up your spine and entered into your spiritual eye. It also is representative of, I think there's another word it also meant for the poor, and I'm not sure where that attribution came from necessarily, but that is another association with the letter Resh itself. If you try to spell out Resh, the value of it is 510 if you use Gematria. And I always try to do this in order to have a better understanding of any word, and specifically the words we're using for our meditation points. It's kind of interesting that both sides have Heru Raha represented very strongly, and you also have mastery in that by the hermit centered in between them. So it's kind of cool that our new twin aspects within ourselves and the balance of that are represented here. And this is where I was going to have Beth, if you don't mind sharing your thoughts on that spread, if you were available. All right.
You may have to unmute yourself, Beth, if you are trying to answer.
Oh.
Oh, here we go. There we are. Sorry about that. Oh God. Okay, so.
And so I was trying to explain the spelling out of the Resh itself, and if you could give us a little insight on what you feel the sun, the hermit, and the aeon.
You know, the hermit. I love the hermit because he's the secret seed. He's the secret fire. I like that.
Yeah.
That's what I see right away. The yod is the secret fire. Like when you look at the Ace of Wands, that's the yod. And so that's the fire. And you see, this is, you know, hidden in the earth. And I like that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And then it's Heru Raha is represented on both sides of that. And that's pretty.
Yes.
Really it's balanced with that.
Beautiful. Yeah, the silence and then the active. The receptive and the active. The positive and the negative. I see that. And It's another form of the twins, the Gemini, you know, but that we all have in ourselves. It's like it's our male and our female qualities. It's all that wrapped up into one. We all have, you know, like a slice of the, you know, the zodiac. You know, we have all 12 of the influences of the zodiac in our chart. And yeah.
Yeah, I think of the, I'm not sure which holy book. I think it's when it says these 12 rays are one. It repeats that over and over
Yeah,
again.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ararita.
Aurorita, that's right.
That's
I
beautiful.
find it interesting because, you know, like Beth said, the hermit being the seed, the yod, and you start with the sun, which is the radiant phallic force in our universe, shedding its light, its seed upon the earth, which then takes bloom in Ra Horkuit, and the materialization, you know, basically Ra Horkuit, us.
Yeah, on Earth. Yeah.
On Earth, exactly. In all of our secret manifestations as well as outward. So,
And you see in the Aeon card, the three yods on the top of the letter there that stands for fire, you know. Shin. I like that. And the three persons inside of the letter Shin. You know, it's like the Father, Son, and the child.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, I don't want to go on and take up your class.
It's okay. Please, you know, that's why I called you back. I'll let you get back into what you were doing, but I appreciate your input.
I'm almost done now. I had to bring a portable air conditioner into the house. I'm done now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good thing to do.
Yeah, it's done.
I was gonna.
Oh, I'll get them. Do you need light or something?
It was just. Lon said a really kind of an interesting thing about the. This is one of the simplest of the cards. It represents Haru-Ra. This is actually Crowley that said this part. This is one of the simplest of the cards. It represents Haru-Ra, Lord of the New Aeon, in his manifestation to the race of men as the sun, spiritual, moral, and physical. He is the Lord of light, life, liberty, and love. This aeon has for its purpose the complete emancipation of the human race. And that's quite a statement, and it's quite a thing to be representative of. At least the cards are awesome, and they have such strength and such instruction on a painted piece of paper. You know, pretty amazing. We'll move on. Okay, so some of the attributions are glorious odors. You know, that's can be. I'm not certain exactly what makes something glorious, but some of them are decidingly solar. Any material element therein is not confirmed by the perfume, which resembles that of a hot summer day in the opinion of many sensitives. It is also solar on account of its cordial and carminative properties. Glorious is the prime epithet of the external character of the soul, or the sun.
I'm kind of reminded of Appear Thou Glorious upon the Throne of the Sun.
Yes, I agree. And glorious odors are those which arouse the percipient sensations of enjoyment, of well-being, with possibly the influx of a certain quality of pride.
That's from 777.
Yeah. The sun is gold. Another attribution of the sun is gold. The animals are the lion and the sparrowhawk. The flowers are the sunflower, the laurel, and the heliotrope. Egyptian god Ra. Hindu deities are Surya. Greek is Apollo. And Roman is Apollo as well. The disease is repletion, and the function associated with this is the circulatory system. So blood, imagine that comes up when you're dealing with sun. So I think there's a lot to be hidden in that, or a lot that it says. That says a lot about this. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so now we are into the magical weapons. Some of you have probably noticed that before. The Laman on the left is the cover of book 4, ABA.
It's the Laman of the Master Therion.
And it is the Laman of Master Therion, correct indeed. Or the other one is the bow and arrow. So you've got the bow and arrow, like the bow is also represented. The arrow specifically is one of the other attributions for the Hebrew letter bet. It means house, but it also means cantor, which is an arrow. And then you would also include samek, which would be the bow. And when you think about it, that anything that is shaped that way, it's something that pierces, something that there's force behind it, and it penetrates easily because of that. It's something that it takes a lot of force and it brings it down to a point. And so that can be our consciousness, that can be a tool. So it's getting the point across in a very traditional way. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes and read what Crowley wrote about the Laman itself. If I can turn the light on, okay. The breastplate or Laman of the magician is a very elaborate and important symbol. In the Jewish system, we read the high priest was to wear a plate with 12 stones for the 12 tribes of Israel, with their correspondences. And in this plate were kept the Urim and the Thummim. The modern Laman is, however, a simple plate which, being worn over the heart, symbolizes Tifereth, and it should therefore be a harmony of all the other symbols in one. It connects naturally by its shape in the circle and the pentacle, but it is not sufficient to repeat the design of either. The Laman of the spirit whom one wishes to evoke is both placed in the triangle and worn on the breast. But in this case, since which we wish to evoke is nothing partial but whole, we shall have but a single symbol to combine the two. The great work will then form the subject of the design. Footnote, some writers have actually confused the Laman with the pentacle, usually through a misunderstanding of the nature of the latter. Dr. D. Sigillum de Ameth makes a fine pentacle, but it would be useless as a Laman. Luz-y made several attempts to draw one or the other. He never seemed sure which. Fortunately, he knows better now. The Lamans given in the lesser and greater keys of Solomon are rather better, but we know of no perfect example. The design on the cover of J.F.C. Fuller's The Star in the West, figure 17, page 1, represents an early effort of Frater, I'm assuming Frater P. So, and that would be, I don't know if you can see that one.
Here, let me.
That one I didn't make a.
Here.
I didn't make a slide, or we didn't make a slide of that one. But okay. The pentacle is merely the material to be worked upon, gathered together and harmonized, but not yet in operation. The parts of the engine arranged for use or even put together, but not yet set in motion. In the Laman, these forces are already at work. Even accomplishment is prefigured. In the system of the Abramelin, the Laman is the plate of silver upon the holy guardian angel writes in dew. This is another way of expressing the same thing, for it is he who confers the secret of the power that should be herein expressed. St. Paul expresses the same thing when he says that the breastplate is faith and can withstand the fiery darts of the wicked. This faith is not blind self-confidence and credulity. It is the self-confidence which one comes with when self is forgotten. It is the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel which confers this faith. The task of attaining to this knowledge and conversation is the sole task of him who would be called adept. An absolute method for achieving this is given in the 8th Ether, Liber 418. So, and you'll see a lot of different lamans. We've got our laman in the, right there.
I don't know if you guys
in the
can see
center
it,
of our shirts. I'm sure everybody's aware of it. That shows the Holy Spirit in the descent into the cup, and the eye and the triangle above that, indicating knowledge to me. But I'm sure I have a lot to learn even on our own laman, because things are progressively given in any system. And yeah, I won't say anymore. I think I've covered that. Okay. So the magical power related to this path is the magical power of acquiring wealth. And it looks like that one's doing pretty well in it. I thought it's pretty funny. Yeah, and I think that has to do with learning to control our thoughts and learning to control the subconsciousness seems to link the things that we need, but that subconscious needs to be directed. And wealth doesn't always mean money. You know, wealth can mean health. Wealth can mean strength. Wealth can mean joy. So acquiring wealth is a broad magical power. And then there's the red tincture. The red tincture escapes me. I know it's an alchemical thing, but I just included it because it's included in the magical power. It's one I have not a lot of experience with, and that's why I'm not going to say too much about it, because I don't know too much about it. Got to know your limits as well, working within the realm of what you know and what you don't know, but share the information and it may spur something in somebody else. That's why I bring it and go ahead and include it into it. The divine names or the intelligences of the intelligence of the sun is Nakael. And then you have, I must not have written the.
I think they were on the last slide or with the attributions, the gods' names, Apollo and Ram.
Oh, I was saying I didn't include the gematria, I guess, of that.
I think that's
Sorath.
I think they weren't they 270.
No.
No.
Sorath is actually adds up to 666 in gematria.
Oh. Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why it's attributed to Tifereth and the sun. The best spelling of Ra is not the correct spelling. That one adds up to 270, but 270 is attributed to this path for that reason. But I assumed I would spell Ra, if I was to be spelling it out, would be Resh Aleph, which would equal 201. But That's not the case. I could not find it in that way whatsoever. The only Ra I could find is Ra that equals 270, and that equates to evil. Not the same necessarily, but there is a link or an attribution that is the same, and so I included it as well, but it is not, because like if you look and you spell Ra Horkuit, they spell that with Resh Aleph, but for whatever reason, Ra just by itself is not spelled out in any of the Sefer Sepharith or Godwin's anywhere that I could find it.
Or 777 either.
Yeah, so, but that being said, it's still worthy of including. And that really wraps up the attribution part today. That's where we got all of the images. During, as in the last few path workings, you'll be asked to present something. That is a hexagram that you will be presenting for the guide to gain entrance into the sphere, or not to the sphere, I'm sorry, to the path of Resh. Is there any questions on any of the attribution stuff, or anybody have any comments specifically about the information before we get started? No? Right on. And then would anybody like to take a quick break and kind of stretch your legs before we get started again? Okay. So this time we're going to do a couple of things different for those that have joined us. Brandon brought up the fact that that maybe we should banish, and I agree with him. So we're going to do that at first. So if you banish on your own, that's okay too, but I'm going to go ahead and just do a LBRP real quick, which is the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. And you can use that, or you can do something similar yourself. That's up to you, however you want to do that, but we're going to do that. And then the other thing that's slightly different, you're going to hear more breaks today in the meditation itself. And that's purely for you to be able to have your own inner guidance, to have your own time where you may be presented something, you may be presented an impression. So just bear with me. I did not fall asleep, and I am allowing you to give you that time in order for you to have your experience, not just purely the one that is spoken to you. And you can have it all first.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And other than that, if we'll just take a couple of minutes to kind of get your breath work going, just take a few deep breaths. Kind of a couple cleansing breaths. Breathe in deeply, and then kind of let a sigh as you exhale. Hey, 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 hey. Oto gibur leolam maronai. Before me, Raphael. Behind me, Gabriel. At my right hand, Michael. My left hand, Uriel. Before me flames the pentagram, within me shines the six-rayed star. Oto, Aiwa, Malkut, Vigebura, Vigedula, Leolam, Amen. So now allow your breathing to stay relaxed. Begin to balance your breath. Breathe in to a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 4. Stay empty for a count of 4. Inhale to a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 4. Stay empty for a count of 4. Inhale for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 4. Stay empty for a count of 4. Inhale to a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 4. Stay empty for a count of 4. Behind the darkness of your closed eyelids, you begin to visualize the astral temple of the Sephirah Melkuth. As the journey begins, you give the sign of the enter and now familiar temple of Melkuth forms around you. The central flame burns brightly with a renewed vigor on the central altar. You give the sign of silence and intone, Adonai hararetz, Sandalphon, Hashim. Sandalphon appears as in your previous journeys, and you exchange the usual greetings of the sign of the Emperor and the response being the sign of silence. Around your neck, you wear a lamen engraved with the symbol of a hexagram. You hold up the symbol for the archangel to see. She takes you swiftly through the portal of Tau, directly in the east of the temple. Within a short time, you're at the entrance to the temple of Yesod. You enter without sandalphon, giving the sign of the enterer. Once inside, you give the sign of silence. Now calling forth the divine names and the spiritual inhabitants of Yesod. Shaddai El Chai, Gabriel, Cherubim, the beautiful Archangel Gabriel formulates in the jasmine mist. You have entered the realm of the pure intelligence. By what symbol dost thou enter herein? By this lamen of the hexagram. You point to the symbol on your chest. Satisfied, Gabriel takes you to the central altar, where she anoints you with a perfumed oil. The violet leather sandals are on the floor in front of the altar, right where you last saw them. You put the sandals on your feet and marvel at the velvety softness. The archangel then takes you to an orange archway in the northeast. On the keystone of the arch is the letter Resh in brilliant white. Within the archway is a veil on which is depicted the tarot card of the sun. She traces the sigil of soul, and the veil parts, revealing a door carved from pure golden chrysolith. Stepping forward, you take the hexagram lamen from around your neck and trace with it the letter Resh. The door opens and you start out on the 30th path. You find yourself walking along a road beside a wide river. It is early in the crisp pre-dawn hours of the day. It is dark and you can only see the road before you because of the glowing light thrown off by the hexagram lamen you wear. You are thankful that the terrain is flat and the road well paved. You have no desire to stumble in the darkness. Ahead, a flickering light beckons with the promise of warmth and companionship. Drawing closer, you discover that the light illuminates two enormous limestone pillars whose summits are lost in the darkness. It is the entrance to a great temple. You follow the light into the antechamber, marveling at the hieroglyphics that adorn the temple columns. Your ears pick up on the low, rhythmic sounds of chanting. Before long, you find yourself in the main chamber of the temple. Several priests with shaven heads wearing white linen tunics kneel in supplication around a large golden disc suspended in the air in the middle of the room. It is an amazing sight. The light that brought you to this place and which fills the temple with its brilliance is an ever-burning flame above the floating golden disc. Behind the gravity-defying disc is a colossal statue of a seated figure. Incense wafts slowly upward from three large braziers at the foot of the sculpture. The head of the figure is that of a hawk, surmounted by a golden disc. which almost touches the ceiling. The right hand of the figure grasps an ankh, the emblem of life, while the left hand grasps a was, or a phoenix wand. The chanting of the priest's incense increases in volume. Mesmerized, you listen to their earnest hymn of praise. Awake, thou cleansed one, in peace. Awake in peace, thou Eastern Ra, in peace. Awake in peace, thou Eastern Soul, in peace. Awake in peace, Ra, in peace. Awake in peace, thou cleansed one, in peace. Awake in peace, thou Eastern Ra, in peace. Awake in peace, thou Eastern Soul, in peace. Awake in peace, Ra, in peace. Thou sleepest in the bark of the evening. Thou awakest in the bark of the morning, for thou art he that overlooketh the gods. There is no God that overlooketh thee. The eyes of the hawk are inlaid with rubies that reflect flickerings of the temple flame. They seem to sparkle with a life of their own. From the entrance of the temple in the east, you detect a subtle change in atmosphere. A slight glow from outside begins to filter through the darkness. The chanting of the priests continues, and their hymns to the sun god become more intense. O thou, only one, thou perfect one, O thou who art eternal, who art never weak, whom no power can abase, O thou splendor of the noonday sun. Over the things which appertaineth to thy sphere, none hath dominion at all. And therefore we honor thee, O divine one, self-created, self-anointed. Thou art the Lord of heaven and earth, and didst create beings celestial and beings terrestrial. O thou heir of eternity, everlasting ruler, self-sustained as thou risest, thy gracious rays shine on all faces and abide in every heart. Live thou in us as we shall live in thee. O thou golden hawk of the sun. Moving to the entrance of the temple, you gaze out over the landscape. You witness the golden orb of the sun breaking over the low rising hills east of the city of Heliopolis. And you imagine that you hear a collective sigh of relief from all living creatures, gods and humans alike. Rejoice at the daily rising of the sun. Once again, the sun god Raz has taken his place as ruler of the day. Once again, the life-giving light of the sun vanquishes the darkness. The orb of the sun clears the hills, and the full glory of Ra is witnessed. The morning rays wipe away any remaining chill from your body. Within the golden disk, you can barely discern the outline of the god, throned and enshrined in his royal. In the prow of the vessel, Thoth, the god of magic, sets the course for the sun's journey across the sky. He is accompanied by his counterpart, Maat, the goddess of truth, and the mighty god Horus, who acts as helmsman. The rays of light emanated from this magnificent vision are pulsating with holiness. For a moment you are blinded, and you shield your eyes with your hands. A few moments pass until your sight returns. You have a vision of a hawk flying above you, gliding effortlessly in the rising thermal winds of the Nile Delta. It speaks to you. By names and images are all powers awakened and reawakened. To name a thing is to know a thing, but there are lesser names and there are sacred names. Isis learned the true name of the Lord Ra and assumed his great powers. She became mighty among magicians. Seek your true name in the book of memories. Seek knowledge in the books of Hermes Trismegistus. The vision of the hawk fades. To your surprise, you discover that you are lying flat on your back in the temple of Ra, staring up at the statue of the solar god. It is noon. You are alone in the temple and you have no idea how long you've been lying there. The heat of the midday sun reaches into every corner and crevice of the temple rising from the floor. You see a small altar that you hadn't noticed before. Just in front of Ra's stone feet, on the altar is a papyrus scroll, sealed with the wax imprint of an ibis, the emblem of Thoth. Remembering the hawk's advice, you break the wax seal and open the scroll. The papyrus seems to be blank, but as you look closer, hieroglyphs and other writings that you don't recognize take shape on the page in front of your eyes. They're indecipherable at first, so in a silent prayer to Ra, you ask the sun god to illuminate the message and make clear its meaning to you. A deep voice answers, and your true name is revealed to you. Although it sounds foreign at first, you recognize it on a subconscious level. You consider your true name for a few minutes before returning to the papyrus. You notice that you are able to understand the meanings of the writings without understanding the symbols themselves. You read and hear the following words written in the book. I am eternity, the creator of millions. I extend everywhere. In accordance with what was to come into existence, I know as the one, alone, majestic, the indwelling soul, the most potent of the gods. I am the scribe of the divine book which says what has been and affects what is yet to be. After reading these words, a clarity, a new awareness overcomes you. You were able to remember things in your life that had long been forgotten. You were able to catch glimpses of other lives from centuries ago. You even seemed to faintly recall a time when the universe was very young. This experience fills you with a calm sense of elation, as though you have found something that has been missing from your life for a very long time. The final image that you receive before closing the scroll is the symbol of the sun, a golden circle enclosing a single point. As you close the scroll, the knowledge you gained fades a bit from your conscious mind, but remains safely stored in your unconscious. After paying final respects to the sun god, you leave the temple of Ra in the city of Heliopolis to begin your trek back home. The orb of the sun is just beginning its western descent. Soon you are at the temple of Yesod, where you return the violet sandals to the foot of the altar. The cool air of the astral temple is refreshing after a day in the Egyptian heat. The Archangel Gabriel welcomes you with a knowing smile. She then guides you back to the temple of Malkuth and leads you in the care of Sandalphon, the Archangel of Malkuth, and closes the portal behind you and goes to the Archangel of Malkuth closes the portal behind you and goes to the fountain in the west. She returns with a chalice of water for you to drink from, and you suddenly realize how parched you are. Finally, bidding her farewell, you salute her with the sign of the enter, and she, in turn, gives you the sign of silence. And kind of take your time as you enter back into the physical realm. You as well give the sign of silence to seal your energy back into your body, to secure you back in the physical realm, and to absorb and to seal the experience you just did. And also take a moment to clear your space, clear your circle of any energy that may have followed you back go ahead and release it. Allow it to fade from your sphere of consciousness. Clear your mind and clear the physical space around you. Perform your form of a short banishing, something that works for you. All right. Thank you for sharing this time with us today and joining us. We can sit and chat about it, but I want to make sure that do the reminder for if you can and it is your will to do so. PDFOTO.org is a place where you can provide a donation to keep Sekhet-Maat Oasis doors open and being able to provide classes and keeping our temple space in secured, basically making sure that we can still, once this COVID is finally done, meet in person and actually get to experience ritual together. And I'm glad everybody was here today. Love is a law, love under will.
Thank you, Dan. Also, just one final note at that website, you can also reach our store, Sekhet-Maat. We've got a huge variety of things, books, tons of Crowley books, tarot decks, oil of Abramelin. We've got t-shirts just like these. We've got lots of stuff. So you can find the link to our store on our website. And I encourage you to do that. And thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for an awesome class, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. It's always fun. So for everybody